Ladies and gentlemen, after the warm welcome and the warm regards on episode 1, we decided to keep going with this and do an episode 2 with now officially the title, Here's Why You're Wrong. Welcome to episode 2 of Here's Why You're Wrong. I'm Aiden Pearson, the GM of the Atlanta Braves, even though I'm wearing an Orioles shirt. But this is in honor of my co-host here, Brenden, who's got the Dodgers gear on today. Brenden, how we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I like it. You're repping for my team. Unfortunately, I couldn't rep for your team today.
You know what? This is one of the most comfortable shirts I have ever owned. It's like nice. It's a good material. I don't know what it is, but it's a Hawaiian shirt. So we like the vibes.
Yeah, I love the vibes.
I love it. So we heard some feedback on the first episode. So we're going to do this less of how we did it last time, started talking about what's going on in the league currently, and more of let's have some fun. Let's make a bunch of debate topics. If you've got any topics you'd like to see, please let us know. Shoot us a DM. Let us know in the comments. If you would like to join us for a segment or even for a whole episode to come debate with us, we'd love to have you. Shoot me or Brenden a DM. We'll definitely get in touch with you to bring someone on. So I say let's just go ahead and jump right into it, Brenden. Last week, we talked about the NL Central, who's winning between the Cubs and the Cardinals. Now let's talk about the bottom dwellers in that division, the Pirates and the Reds. Who's going to finish last?
You know what? They're currently last in the standings, and I think they're going to stay there, and I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Reds. No insult to JR, the general manager of the Reds. He works for the Reds in real life. He's a great guy. Unfortunately, his team is just not in a position to rise out of the bottom of the standings this year. They are dead last in rotation ERA in the National League. They are bottom half of the league, of the National League in all hitting stats. They just don't have a whole lot of good talent up at the major leagues. I mean, or Elvis Martinez is a really good young shortstop. They've got a couple decent pitchers, but no one really jumps out at you. I just don't think they have the talent to really climb back out of the bottom of that division.
Wow. That was not the way I thought you were going to take that. And you know what? I respect your opinion, but I also think you are dead wrong. Let's go ahead and I'm going to take Pittsburgh in this one. Yes, they've got Cody Koshin leading the line, who we'll talk about a little bit more later. But outside of Cody Koshin, they have been pretty abysmal this year, and that's the easiest way to describe it. And I know you and I were talking before the show. You say it's bad luck. I think it's, it
is
could
bad
be,
luck.
It's but here's my thing. You look at the stats. I look at some things. You look at other things. This bullpen has been atrocious. It has been just completely not what Cody needed there. And then you go ahead and look at the lineup. He has so many stars who are supposed to produce on this team. Koshin has not hit well this season at all in over 330 plate appearances. Marc-Andre Fleury sort of crapped the bed. Salvador Perez as a backup catcher hitting a $129. You've got so many players on this team that are underproducing that I think they're going to continue underproducing, and I think the Reds have enough pieces to make up enough ground just so they don't finish last.
Because here's why you're wrong on that. Here's why you're wrong on that. The Pittsburgh has the number 1 rotation ERA in the National League this year. They're second in runs allowed. It is all on the offense this year, and that is all because they have just 4 players currently on the Major League roster who are hitting above 300 in their BABIP. That is terrible luck. If you have a month and a half of good luck, you get backed up in the standings.
But here's the thing. We're at this point in luck where it doesn't matter anymore at the position we're in. Here's the thing.
It absolutely matters.
But if you can't score runs, you're not going to do anything. And
that's what I'm telling you.
But here's my thing. The Reds bats can score more runs than the Pirates. And I also think that some of these young guys, and we don't know what's going to happen with September call-ups, the Reds have better pieces to call up in September than the Pirates do. And I think the Reds can make something happen here better than the Pirates because they're only 3.5 back of the Pirates.
Well, the Reds have Trey Griffey. Like that's the better piece. I wouldn't necessarily say better pieces.
Trent Griffey can turn a franchise around. We saw what Danny Smith did in Chicago that we were talking about last week. Trent Griffey can make a big enough difference because Pittsburgh doesn't have it, and they have one of the toughest final schedules in eMLB.
You know what? That's a fair argument right there. It's awfully good to start scoring runs, but when you've allowed 662 runs on the year and you're 14th in the National League, it doesn't matter if you start scoring more runs if you're not going to keep them off the board. I think if you can keep runs off the board, that is a much more sustainable model for getting wins than scoring them.
You see, I disagree,
Defense
especially
matters
in September.
more than offense.
No,
Defense
it does not. No, it does not. No, you can't give me that BS.
Chicks dig the long ball, but World Series are won by pitching staffs, and wins are gained by pitching staffs. And now the Pittsburgh is not going to win a World Series, but they definitely are going to get better throughout the rest of the year.
So what? They're going to finish mid-table here? Because in my opinion,
back to 500.
Here's why you're wrong. Here's why you're flat out wrong. You don't have enough. Cody Koshin cannot be your only player producing on your team, and he's not doing it with the bat. And the Reds are just going to keep chugging along. They're going to pick up wins where it matters, and Reds have a much easier schedule than Pittsburgh does. You got to take that into account. The Reds have a much easier schedule.
Yeah, you know what? Looking at that, I can definitely agree with that. However, they have 7 games in September where they're going to play each other, and I think that right there is going to be the deciding series. Is that determine who finishes last in that division.
And the Reds will win that with at least winning 4 of them.
And you know what? I'm going to just let you sit there in your wrongness because I completely disagree.
How can you tell me that? Because here's my point too, is that yes, they play 7 games, but if they line up the way they're supposed to line up, the Reds luck out with only having to face Koshin once in those 7 games.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal. And here's my thing. I think Trent Griffey will come in and absolutely tear it up in the month of September and do more for that team than anyone else does in September call-ups. And I think that the Reds are going to show a lot of people that within the next year or two, especially with some free agent signings this year and shedding some money with Carlos Correa coming off the books, they're going to be one of the hot teams, and the NL Central is going to be the toughest division in baseball.
Ooh, that's a hot take right there. That's a real hot take.
You're going to have 4 or even 5 teams with the way the Brewers are playing right now that could challenge for a win, challenge for a 2 wild card spots and a division win.
You put the NL Central above the AL West in terms of tough divisions?
I think if the Reds get a few pieces this offseason, I would.
Okay. Well, I disagree, but you know what? That's kind of the whole thing here. We're going to sit here and I'm going to sit here and tell you why you're wrong. You're going to sit here and tell me why I'm wrong. And I really don't know if we're going to end up reaching an agreement on that.
I don't think, and that's the whole point of the show. There's never going to be an agreement. Well, there may be some agreements reached in some places, but
yeah, exactly. We can both agree that the Braves are on a downward trajectory.
Wow. I can have some hope in life. Okay. You didn't have to call me out like that.
You know what? Hopes are great, but I just don't see it.
Wow. I can't wait to prove it. Someone bookmark this right here so I can go back next year when I'm in the World Series and take this and shove it right back up where the sun don't shine.
Okay. You know what? And when I'm sitting here with the ring on my finger and your team's missing the playoffs, then.
Oh, okay. That's what you want to go down? That's fair enough. All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's move on to another fun topic we got here. Let's go ahead and talk about this. So let's have a little fun. You get 1 pitcher, you get 1 hitter to start a franchise with. Let's start on the pitching side of the ball because you are so adamant about pitching winning championships. Who are you taking to start your franchise with right now if this is day 1?
Day 1, you're picking a pitcher, Cody Koshin for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Cody Koshin's in his 4th year up at the majors. He's locked up long-term. He's locked up through 2032 on a very team-friendly deal for the Pirates because Cody likes to sign his guys young. The guy's going to be not making double digits for the entire time he's going to be with Pittsburgh. You have an ace at that value for that long. This year, he just pitching because he goes both ways. He has a 2.81 ERA, a 1.05 WHIP. He's striking out 18.6% of batters and only walking 4.3. Then you get to his bat. While the bat's not been great this year, just hitting 204, he's a career 244 hitter with a career 728 OPS. That's an average batter in your lineup. If you get an ace pitcher and an average hitter out of one guy who's on a deal through 2032 and is making not double digits in any one of those seasons, I would pick him day 1. He'd be my first guy if we had a redraft.
That's fair, and I can see where you're coming from with this. I'm actually going to go to your squad and give me the left-hander, the nutball Jim Reed. I think Jim Reed is a perfect option here. He's a young left-handed pitcher. He's currently sitting at only 23 years old, and the man has everything it takes. So far this season, 13-3. I know pitching wins don't matter, but the 2.06 ERA in 170 innings. And the fact of the matter is, he's got a 0.6 home run per nine. He only strikes out about 6.3 Ks per nine, but he has an ERA plus of 2.07 and a 4.1 WAR. The man's a left-hander who throws 100, and you're not going to touch that in many places. I think he's the surefire pick because, yeah, Koshin might be able to do it a little bit with a bat, but I want my pitcher to focus on pitching and be an absolute ace that I think Koshin with the bat too, sometimes he's going to go up and down, up and down. And the nutball Jim Reed, yes, he may not strike a lot of guys out, but he's going to limit runs, limit hits, limit walks. And he's going to be a guy who I can count on every fifth day to put my team in a position to win.
And you know what? We do count on him every fifth day to put our team in a position to win in Baltimore. And I'll tell you, the one thing that worries me is if I could make a one-for-one swap right now, I would take Koshin. I would take Koshin 100% because of that contract. If you look at the arbitration estimates for Reed moving forward, he is supposed to get into the 20 millions in the next couple of years. And that's going to be a problem. Is he the better pitcher? Probably. Is he the better value? I don't know.
And right now, if I'm starting a franchise,
value might be better.
Value is much better, in my opinion, because I got a pitcher. Yes, his arbitration numbers may go up, but let's also take it from a guy who likes to make a trade, and I know you do too. But let's say he gives me 2 or 3 years and I'm still not where I want to be. Bam, I flip him for some of the best prospects in eMLB or flip him for some MLB-ready players who Koshin, you might struggle to do that with because I don't know that you'll ever want to trade him just because of that value where I can turn Jim Reed into 5, 6, 7 players that are really going to help impact my team.
Yeah, you really have to find someone who you can fleece for that kind of deal. I mean, I think everyone would snap at the bit to get Jim Reed. I just don't know if there's enough teams that have the kind of cap space available to make a trade for that.
And that's fair, but I also think that value's here. Let's flip over to the hitter side. I'm going to go ahead and take probably the one that if you don't take him, you're a little crazy. Center fielder Danny Smith Jr. I mean, how can you not? This man has come into the league and absolutely terrorized the league so far this season, which is something that you just asked for when you brought him in. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of his stats so far this year. In, mind you, only 25 games, 100 at-bats. He's got 11 homers, 22 RBIs, 13 walks, only 11 strikeouts, hitting .430, slugging .810 with an OPS of 1.306 and a 247 OPS plus, and already a 2.7 WAR. Talk about a franchise cornerstone who he's under control. He's going to be you probably have another 6 years of control, and you might be able to lock him up early. How can you say no?
You know what? I agree 100%. It's hard to say no to a talent like Danny Smith Jr. 100%. But he's not the guy who I would want to take. The guy who I would want more than anybody in the league right now as a hitter to start my franchise with is presumptive NL MVP winner Fernando Tatis Jr. Tatis Jr. was a re-rate candidate this last season, and after 6 middling years with San Francisco, he has become an absolute superstar. Danny Smith has been great in the 25 games he's played, but I don't know if he can keep that pace up. Tatis has shown that he can keep a superstar pace up for most of a season.
Talk about you. I'm going to use your own argument you just used. Cap space. Cap space. I've got years of Danny Smith Jr. Fernando Tatis is the most, I can't say that. I think in the MLB itself, not the eMLB, he's the most overrated player in baseball.
Ooh, okay.
I don't like what he brings to the table. He's too injury prone for me. But I think in eMLB,
he's made a class. I won't argue that.
But I think in eMLB, the value is not there that you're going to get with Danny Smith Jr. because Tatis is going to be too big of a cap hit, and Danny Smith Jr. he basically never needs an off day because you can DH him, you can play him in the outfield, you could probably teach him to play any position, and he'd do it at an above average level. Where Tatis, I don't know that you can do exactly what you need, and I think you can count on Danny Smith Jr. to give you that production every year. Where Tatis, I don't know that he can do it, and he goes through too many hot and cold streaks. Mind you, we haven't seen it as much of Danny Smith.
Well, I mean, I think it's hard to argue with 45 home runs in 117 games as going through hot and cold streaks.
You may be able to argue that, but can you argue the fact that Danny Smith Jr. in 25 games has walked more than he struck out?
You know what? That's awesome for 25 games. I would happily listen to the Danny Smith after he's played 75. And I love him as a young player, but I do not know if he's going to end up staying at that pace. His floor is higher than most players' ceilings. His ceiling is best in the league.
You and I both know that right now you're talking out of your ass. You are talking out of your ass because the point of the matter is you don't need to see 75 games, because I know that you and I both don't necessarily look at ratings when it tells you, 80 overall or 80 potential, but you look at the ratings on Danny Smith Jr. plus the production he's already have, he is going to be probably a 10 to 12 time MVP in this league. And he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer and may get 100% of the vote. And here's my case right now. If he played maybe 50 more games, he would be the NL Rookie of the Year, which we'll talk a little bit more about who we're taking in the end.
That's a hard statement to make that there.
I mean, you look at him and already the production, and I know you say it's not enough production, but he's not in an easy division, and he's doing this on a first-place team facing some of the toughest pitching. You can't argue with it there.
You know what? I can't argue with that. However, I can argue that Tatis has been better than every other hitter in the league this year. There is not another hitter who has brought the same kind of value that he's brought to any team this season. His worst month was a 970 OPS. His worst month.
I can see where you're coming from with this. And trust me, I agree with you on that was his worst month. But I also think that you see with Danny Smith Jr., I think he's also got intangibles off that make him just a little bit better than Tatis. You look at some of those personality traits, you look at some of those things, Danny Smith Jr. puts a little bit ahead. And as a young kid, more than a veteran, I'm going to get more years out of Danny Smith Jr. than I am Fernando Tatis.
That's true. And if you're picking, really, this is a good argument. And what position do you consider value more than immediate impact? With pitchers, you went more for immediate impact, and hitters for value, and myself, vice versa.
You see, for me, and this is another debate we'll get into. You know what? I want to save this debate for next episode. CCP versus originated players. I want to save that for next episode, so that's something to look forward to. But it also brings into the debate. For me, I like my pitching to be efficient because, like you mentioned with the Pirates argument, but I think it doesn't exactly play in that scenario. But on a brand new team, pitching can keep you in ball games, especially a starting pitcher every fifth day. And even if you're not winning a bunch of games, it's a confidence boost that you have a guy who you can get out there. And on the hitting side of the ball, if I have a lockdown defender in the outfield who can cover as much ground as Danny Smith Jr., I'm not worried about a fly ball.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You mind if I rewind just a tad bit?
Sure.
We'll have Andrew hit the rewind button. Did you just say that you value pitching a lot more than hitting? For like having good pitching every fifth day out there helps you get more wins in the end.
I did.
Did you
hold on. You're taking what I just said out of context, though.
Am I? I mean,
because right after that, I said I don't think it applies to the Pirates situation, though.
I didn't hear that. All right.
We can go back and clip that and refresh it if we need to.
All right. Just, number one rotation ERA in the league. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? You're still wrong. It's okay. It's all okay to be wrong. Let's move on to topic number 3 while we're on the topic of pitcher and hitter we want to start with. Brenden, since this is your topic, you want to bring it up?
Absolutely. We wanted to talk about which National League first baseman would you rather have? We've talked about players you'd want to start a franchise with, but which guy would you want to have if you had the choice between two players? Two players representing here are Michael Sean Kane and Mark Diggs. And I'm going to tell you why Mark Diggs is without a doubt the best young first baseman in the league and the guy who any team would chomp at the bit to get. Guy's played 65 games. He's hitting 372, 431, 678. He's got 20 home runs. He's got 20 doubles. Oh, and he's a decent fielder at first base, which sure, fielding at first base doesn't matter a whole lot, but that's a nice little bonus to have. He's a rookie this year. He would be a rookie of the year candidate if there weren't some stronger ones ahead of him. And he's 21 years old. He's just a great young player who's got a lot of potential ahead of him, and he's already producing at a high end level.
That was a nice little argument.
Ooh, all right.
It was subpar at best, because we're talking about one of the best players in the MLB right now who is an MVP candidate in Michael Sean Kane. 107 games, just under 400 at-bats. So far, he's got 26 doubles, 25 homers, 69 RBIs, but a 341 average, a 438 OBP, a 614 slugging, and an OPS over 1,000 with a WAR of 5.5 so far this season. This guy is someone who we've seen who can do it over 162 games before that we haven't seen from the rookie. Mind you, he's the same exact age. He has one more season in the MLB so far, and he also plays on a team that competes every year. That I think that's something you can't take away from him. And I think Michael Sean Kane right now is similarly defensively, if not more. And I take Michael Sean Kane just because he's proven that he can do it. Similar to your argument with Tatis, but just because my argument here is that he's done it, but he's still young and controllable.
Yeah, you know, and I actually didn't realize this. I thought Kane was 23. They're actually both the same age at 21. And while it's true, Kane has been good in the league last year. He's been great for 107 games this year. In the 65 games that Diggs has played, he's on a pace to far surpass him. And I take that pace right now because that's a sample size I trust.
Ready?
At that point in time, that's a sample size I trust.
So you trust a 65-game sample size, but it is such a small sample size. And how can you prove he's going to do this production year in and year out? Sorry, I'm directly quoting you from your last argument against Danny Smith
yeah,
Jr.
You know what? You can't. Can you prove it? No, you can't prove he's going to stay at that same pace. If you could prove that someone could stay at that same pace, then we would all have this game figured out, and every team would go 162-0. It's a matter of looking at what a guy can do and what traits a guy has that can hold up. And they're both very similar players, but I think that Diggs has traits that are going to hold up better than Sean Kane.
I think Sean Kane has them. I think the Sean Kane has the production because he's shown he could do it before. He also has, again, we talk about this. We may not have talked about this a lot necessarily, but I very much value personality traits and personality classes. Sean Kane's got the better personality class, and he's got the better high aspects in the better personality class, which is huge in a locker room.
Yeah, that's definitely a bonus to Sean Kane there. But personality has an impact on the game. It's debatable how much impact it's going to have, and as long as you're not looking at a guy who's got severe negative or like a captain personality type person, it's hard to even see where that personality bonus is even going to come into effect.
That's fair. You're wrong.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Work ethic is real nice to have for a developing player, but if you're looking at a guy who's already at major league level, work ethic stops mattering.
You're 0 for 3 today, but that's okay. Everyone goes 0 for 3 in a sense. And that's okay. Actually, you're 0 for 4 because you got 2 players wrong on the who would you rather have to start a franchise. So it's okay to go 0 for 4.
You know what? It is okay to go 0 for 4, and I would like to extend that same thing to you. But I'm just going to go ahead and sit here and know that I was right deep down in my heart.
You know what? I want Andrew, if this is possible, can we put up like a poll somewhere to ask who did better this episode? Good idea. Like maybe in the Discord we can do that. We'll ask him. We'll ask Andrew what we can do about that.
Team Cash for voting for Team Brenden.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. We'll talk to our people. We'll talk to the bank. We'll talk to the head honcho and see what they say.
It's a good idea.
We'll talk to the head honcho. So let's
move on.
We can
agree on. That's something we can agree on.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see. We agree on one thing this episode. That's all you get. Let's move on into AL and NL MVP. And I will preface with
are we doing Rookie of the Year this year?
Rookie of the Year. That's right. Rookie of the Year. My bad. I will
You're
preface by saying this. Brenden, I think yours are a little bit better options, but at least in the NL, I have to defend my player.
So I'll let you open defending your guy.
So I went with my guy because I have to, and it's a dumb decision not to protect my guy, and that is the absolutely sweet swinging second-round draft pick in 2022, the 24-year-old, the beautiful man named Antonio Alvarez. Antonio Alvarez this year, 113 games. He's got 15 doubles, 2 triples, 26 homers, 69 RBIs. He's got 10 stolen bases, a 283 average, an OPS plus of 131, an OPS of 861, and a 3 WAR. Plus, he's playing above average defense out there in the outfield. He's having himself a great year. He's only had 3 errors this entire season for a .986 fielding percentage. And he's also done great so far there. All of his games at right field and almost 1,000 innings out there.
You know what? And in any other year, that would be a perfectly fine argument. But I'm going to go ahead and draw your attention to Kent Hrbek Jr. for the Cubs. And he blows any argument you want to make for Antonio Alvarez completely out of the water. 118 games, 323, 371, 592 for a 963 OPS. You're talking about OPS plus. He has a 156. He's had 27 doubles. He's had 31 home runs. And oh, yeah, he wins in triples 2 with 3. He is just at the plate. He does everything Alvarez can do, but better. He strikes out slightly less. He walks a little bit less. We give Alvarez that. He walks a little bit more, but hits for power at a much higher clip, gets more extra base hits, and he's a much valuable defender at playing a premium position like third base instead of a corner outfield position like right. I just don't see that. I don't think Alvarez has any kind of realistic path towards winning the Rookie of the Year this year, unless Hrbek gets hurt and misses the entire last month of the year. And even then, I don't see it.
I can't argue. That's the thing. This is one that we talked about this before the show, and I'll be completely honest with you guys. We knew exactly where this was going, and we both said the same player. But for argument's sake, we wanted to argue about it, and I had to take my guy. But I really don't have an argument against Kent Hrbek Jr. I will be completely honest with you. Antonio Alvarez will be getting at least 1 vote for me because I have to do it, and it's dumb not to vote for your own player.
That's quite like voting for your own guys, right?
Same reason he got 1 All-Star game vote and made it to the All-Star game because of
I'm honestly surprised that every vote in the league doesn't end up being
a 30-way
tie between one point votes.
Yeah. So I will give him my vote. Kent Hrbek will get my second place vote, but yeah.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. And I can't just I respect defending your player. I respect it.
I'd look like a terrible GM if I didn't.
One more thing. Alvarez is 24. Hrbek is 20. He's doing it at a younger age too.
On next week's episode, we talk about why both of us hate a CCP.
Yes. Maybe we should bring that up. Maybe we should get one of our more prolific CCP creators up here.
Should we make a phone call to a certain GM on the West Coast?
Maybe. Or maybe a GM that's playing in the Appalachians.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. We'll make a few phone calls and we'll see who we can grace y'all's presence with. Let's move on to the AL side of the ball. I'll let you kick this one off. All
right. AL Rookie of the Year this year, we're going to be going Lucas Parker for the Kansas City Royals. Lucas Parker, so far in the year, 108 games, slugging OPS of 904. He's hit 24 home runs. He's got 30 doubles. He plays first base for the Royals, 2.8 zone rating. I just don't see another American League hitter who can pass him up at this point in the Rookie of the Year voting. American League rookies this year just do not stand out among the National League. There are 3 or 4 National League hitters who are a lot better than your next best American League option.
American League sucks.
Yeah, it's what's allowing the Orioles to just run all over it.
I had to say that. I'm an NLGM. I have to say that.
I didn't mean to take a pot shot at everyone else in the American League. Now I know that Tom's going to end up destroying me in the playoffs.
Hold on. I would like to ask a question real quick before I give my player. I know it's only a stupid All-Star game, but who put up 5 runs on the AL in the first inning of the All-Star game?
Just not going to answer that. Just not going to answer.
I'll just say he's sitting right here, and people got mad at me for stealing bases all the time, but all the NLGMs and us were talking, and they were okay with me doing it, so I did it.
Yeah, that's real. It's real funny. I'm amused.
I know, it's great. I love it. We won. I earned home field advantage for my league, and that's what matters in the end.
Yep, because we still operate under C League rules. I'm down for it, but
by the way,
okay.
We're
going the road.
By the way, GMs, I am going to put something in the Discord relatively soon to abolish that rule. I'm here for it, and I think I have a lot of support. All right. I'm going to give a player who we were talking about it beforehand, and he's sort of flown under the radar, but he's put together a hell of a campaign. I'm going to head over to Minnesota and go with Dan Lipski. He's a left fielder. He's 25 years old, but so far this season in 84 games, he's put together a 292 average with a 343 on base percentage and an OPS plus of 126 and a 1.3 WAR. He's got 21 doubles, 12 homers, 44 RBIs, and he's got 24 walks to 31 strikeouts. He's putting the ball in play, and he's getting great production.
He's a fine player to pick if you have to try and find somebody else, but he has no realistic shot at winning the award. He's a fine player.
I'm trying to provide an argument here, Brenden. It's for the show. No one has fun if we agree. And you know what? I think that something that plays into it, and I'm just going to say this, is that how much fun is a player having? How much fun is a team having? And you know what? With Minnesota, with all their turnover this year, I think that you got to give it to Lipski for standing up for his squad.
You know what? That's fine. Standing up for his squad, that's great.
And you know what? Hold on. I also don't want to give an award to Minerva because I don't want it to go to his head and then he starts bragging about it all over the place.
Oh, I want that. I think we need to boost Minerva's confidence up a little bit. I tried all offseason. I tried calling the Royals a dark horse to be a wildcard team. I'm just gonna start pumping them up for next year.
Oh, yeah, just so you can try and steal all their players in a trade?
Yeah.
At least we're both on the same page about what we're attempting to do.
Why else?
Exactly.
There's a reason the Royals are the discount Dodgers. Because you can get everything there at a discounted price.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Love you, Minerva. All right.
Man, that we shifted gears a little bit from fighting each other to just going after Minerva there.
Hey, no one said that we were always going to fight each other on this show.
That's true. We didn't really set that rule.
Because I feel like if we set that rule, it pigeonholes us.
That's true.
So, one last topic I want to discuss that we didn't discuss beforehand.
Okay.
That I'm just going to put out here as a little eMLB, but also an MLB thing. What is the best alternate jersey in baseball?
Best alternate jersey. Man. For me, it's a tie between, and I'm not an Orioles fan in real life, but it's a tie between the Orioles black jersey with the orange outlines on the numbers. And now I am going to go to my team, the Mariners teals. I love the Mariners, like the Mariners teal jerseys.
So I'm going to go one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. All right. Similar to you. I'm going to go with the Devil Rays throwback as a Rays fan. That rainbow across the chest.
Oh, you mean the faux backs?
It's still a throwback.
It's a faux back.
Oh, my Lord.
They've been around long enough to have throwbacks.
Almost 30 years. Keep talking.
Real quick. How old are you again? The Rays are barely older than you now.
Yeah. They're about 4 years older than me. 4 or 5. I still think my point stands clear. They're still a throwback jersey, technically. They're still good-looking jerseys. You can't argue that it's a good-looking jersey.
Oh, I can't argue that.
All right, and then
I can't argue that, so I got to find something else to pick on.
Exactly. Number 2, and this is an unpopular opinion because I actually have a top 3 in jerseys. I'll go with number 2 being the Mets black jerseys. I think everyone sort of finds a little nostalgia with those. David Wright and Jose Reyes up the middle, Carlos Beltran, Johan Santana on the mound, Mike Piazza.
It's hard for me to take. It's hard for me because I had to pick between the Orioles blacks or the Mets blacks. Only two teams do black real well, and it's those two.
And then heading out to the West Coast, everyone hated on these, but I love them. The San Francisco Giants City Connect uniforms. That white-orange gradient sort of thing. I like them. I like the little Golden Gate Bridge with the white-orange gradient. And it may just also be because I love me a little Gabe Kapler, and that man looks good in any uniform you put him in.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to argue that.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't like most of the City Connect jerseys.
I'll tell you, the worst City Connect jersey is Boston. The worst one.
Obviously.
I understand the sentiment of the Boston Marathon, but they literally just stole the Rays colors and they basically turned themselves into UCLA.
That's okay. Well, even with those colors, they probably do it better than the Rays. So,
wow, you're just salty because we took 3 of 4 from you in your own place in Seattle. All right, so pipe down there.
Maybe just a little bit.
See,
and they won the night though. So, depending on when you're watching it, they won Sunday.
Hey, we won the season series. Oh, what a night.
Well, this fun.
This was very fun. This was a solid episode. This was a very solid episode.
I think so. I still think we need to probably pick fights a little bit more on in-game topics instead of digs. I'll point that finger at myself.
You know what? We'll get there. We're still getting with the flow, but I think this one was much more of an argumentative style. And I mean, at least your takes weren't as outrageous as I know I go to it every episode. But no, Iguodala is not taking the only shot if you need to win a game. God damn it, Max Kellerman. Sorry, still the worst take ever in sports talk.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. There's a reason. There's a reason he only lasted a few years as the number 2.
He's bad. He's so bad.
Yeah. Maybe here's what the real debate should be. Which between the two of us is Steven, which between the two of us is the number 2. Because there's Steven and whatever random white guy he's arguing against.
Well, the first thing is neither of us are.
That's true. But let's be real. Skip Bayless and Max Kellerman and whoever the new guy is, they all kind of look alike.
That's fair. But I think you look like them. I feel like me and Stephen A. Smith are similar just because we're both short.
Yeah. You know what? If you're going there, that's definitely true.
I will take a dig at myself to call myself the better person in the debate because Stephen A. is stuck around and all the other white guys haven't. So,
well, on the episode 3, we will now be switching to Aiden and Minerva operating as the 2 hosts of the program.
Yeah, we'll bring Brenden back about every 6 episodes just to make a callback.
Yes.
No, but seriously, we would like to get some other GMs involved, other community creative players, other guys just in the community who want to come talk eMLB with us. Please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to do it. Brenden, I think you said we're 3 weeks away from the playoffs?
Yep, 3 real life weeks. We got 9 sims ahead of us.
Playoffs? You're talking about playoffs.
You're just trying to win a game.
It's one of the greatest sound bites ever.
Yes.
Ever. I mean, between that and I'm just here so I don't get fined, 2 of the best NFL ones ever.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. Best sound bite ever, though.
Oh, what's the best sound bite ever?
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Oh, that's
Mike Gundy.
good. That's good. That's a good one. You know what? I'm gonna go with you know what? I think I want to go with I forget which NFL head coach it was, but one of them who was on live air and goes, "You gotta be me."
I don't know that one.
It was a press conference, I want to say, in like
I thought you were going to go with
$20,000s.
Dennis Green's. They were who they thought they were who we thought they were.
Oh, no, that's a good one.
We're getting a little bit off track here.
No, but that's okay. Like we have a little time to go off topic, you know?
That's fair.
Or, okay, here, last thing we'll talk about, and I promise this is the only time I will say last thing because it is going to be the best. It is going to be the last thing. What is the best TV call of an iconic sports moment?
Kevin Harlan, the streaker, 2014 Monday Night Football.
I love it. I love
you know what
that.
I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I do. Look it up if you don't, because we don't want to get copyrighted on this show.
It absolutely is amazing.
I'm going to go with I don't want to go Joe Buck, so I'm not. I'm going to go to Kirk Gibson hitting the home run, going around the bases. Actually, no, wait. No. Scratch that. San Francisco Giants shot heard around the world.
Now, yeah. You're going with a good one now.
I have to go iconic.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And close second, as much as I hate Joe Buck, we will see you tomorrow night. The iconic David Freese moment, Game 6, 2014 World Series. Freese just puts it out. Oh, that's such an iconic moment.
That's a real good one.
I just hate Joe Buck, so I can't go with it.
Man, I don't get the Joe Buck hate.
He's just so cliche. As someone who wants to go into the industry, I hate the cliches.
You know what? And as a fan who can sit down there, who can sit and appreciate a game, Joe Buck is one of the best play-by-play guys in the business.
Fair. And because we said that's going to be one more thing, that is the last thing we're talking about this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully this episode gets pushed out relatively soon, and we're going to be back recording again next Sunday. Not exactly sure what the upload schedule on these is. We'll get with Andrew and figure that out. For Brenden, for myself, Aiden, and for our producer and editor, Andrew Pays. And thank you so much again to Commish as well for letting us put this on. Make sure to check out the Discord and the Twitch link in the description below. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.